Howdy guys, this is Carla, and this time I'm here to do a review for the second trailer for X-Men Apocalypse, which, as I've said before, Batman v Superman is coming out next week, so a lot of the big summer movies are releasing trailers in order to play with Batman v Superman, and one of them was for X-Men Apocalypse, the second trailer. And as you know, if you've read any reviews, if you've listened to any of my reviews for superhero movies, you've heard me mention X-Men at least once. Why? Because X-Men is kind of my thing, okay? I love comics in general, and I love superheroes in general, but X-Men are my ultimate love. I'm not so much a Marvel girl as I am an X-Men girl. So, X-Men Apocalypse is pretty much my most anticipated movie of the year, because every time an X-Men movie comes out, I freak out for the entire year until I see it. And this trailer did not disappoint. As you know, I really loved the first trailer. I thought it was really awesome. This one, I also loved. I didn't love it as much as the first one because it felt a little bit like there was a lot of stuff that we've already seen. Now, the footage was completely different. Like, this whole thing was, like, almost all new footage. But we all really saw, like, the same scenes, though. So, I'm wondering what more there is to it. And because of that, it felt, like it was a little bit of what I had already seen. Not that it wasn't awesome, but I didn't like it as much as the first one. Also, maybe there's the issue that the first one was the first one. So I had all this like pent up excitement, and now I kind of already know sort of what to expect from the movie. So the excitement is a little bit tamed down. But I still loved it. I thought it was an amazing trailer. A lot of people are complaining about the music because it's Coldplay, but I don't know. I like the music. I think it fits the tone, especially since Apocalypse is kind of this otherworldly, powerful mutant hell-bent on destroying the world. And this is very melancholy sort of music, in the sense that there's a lot of shots of people just kind of standing by and gawping at the fact that this incredible destructive event is taking place. So I think it fits really well. Now, the first thing that had me jumping up and down about this trailer, possibly my favorite part of the trailer in its entirety, was the very opening of it, the beginning of it. You have a small bit of dialogue between Eric and Charles. And it might not seem like a lot for many people. It might just seem like them, they have this odd friendship where they kind of taunt each other and like trash talk each other, but also still really understand each other. So I get a lot of people really don't get the impact of this. It just sounds like yet another conversation between Eric and Charles. But for people who are fan of X-Men, like I am, who are like ridiculously hyped about the X-Men and what this movie will do to continuity and history, and how it will just take things from before and bring them to the surface, and I don't just mean the comics, these lines that Eric and Charles exchange, they're actually taken from the first X-Men movie. At the very end of the movie, like, I believe it's the very end of the movie, when Professor X and Magneto is in jail now. He was captured by the end of the movie. He's in jail, and Charles, because he's his friend, he still goes to visit him, and they're playing chess and they're just talking, and those lines about, aren't you afraid that they will come and get you and the children, and Charles is like, oh, I feel a swell of pity for anybody who dares come here. That conversation takes place when they're playing chess. And it's not exactly the same. They changed a few things, because in the first movie they are actually talking about the law that was going to pass about registration of mutants and such. and obviously we don't have that here yet. But I thought it was just really, really freaking cool that they actually went back and used the exact same lines. Because again, it brings this whole thing together, and it really makes you feel like, yes, okay, these two are the same people that we got to meet in the first 3 X-Men movies. I mean, it's the same Professor X, even though they're two separate actors, and it's the same Professor Magneto. It's the same Magneto, even though they're 2 different actors, but they're the same people, and that it kind of blew my mind because I know that I know that Bryan Singer directed both movies, so you expect him to kind of do something like that, but this one came across as very subtle, but for the fans who actually know it, it's like a heck of a shout out, and I really love it. I really love that Singer did this, and it made me hyped up for everything else in this trailer. As far as the rest of it goes, though, I found it interesting that we see Oscar Isaac as is in some of the scenes. Like when he was born, maybe he wasn't blue, which I think is interesting because as far as I remember, Ensaba Noor was blue in the comics. Like, he didn't have all his powers. They were given to him later by the Celestials when he found their spaceship and whatever. But he was blue. Like, that one bit of mutation he did have. So I think it's interesting that in this one, Apocalypse isn't blue to begin with. He sort of becomes blue after he transforms, after he's given these powers, which we also see in actually looked really, really cool, by the way. I really love that. So I'm curious about that, because you think, since you have like 2 characters in this movie alone that are naturally blue, that it makes sense for them to show that some mutations can come from birth. You know what I mean? Also, Storm's hair was black when Apocalypse found her, so I think it's interesting. Like, is her transformation into a horse woman of the Apocalypse going to change the color of her hair? A lot of stuff seems to happen in Egypt, which I think is interesting. But also at the same time, you have a lot of shots of like the Institute being destroyed. So that's kind of cool. And then there's of course the destruction of the bridge, which seems like it takes place in, I don't know, maybe Manhattan. So the scope of this thing is really big. I'm just really curious as to why so much stuff happens in Egypt. Then there's another scene which was actually my second favorite scene of the entire trailer, and that's Quicksilver and his mom. I wasn't expecting the mom to come back, and I really love it because that was one of my favorite parts of Days of Future Past, was that little line where he goes, "Oh, my mom knew a guy who could do that," and I was literally the only person in the theater who went, "Ha!" And everybody sort of looked at me, and I'm like, "You just don't get it. You need to learn more about this universe, you fiends." So that was kind of my favorite part of the entire movie last time, and I love that his mom is back, and I love that she's like, "Yeah, you're gonna go with them, aren't they?" And he's like, "Huh, well, you wanted me to get out of the house, so that's what I'm doing." I really love that Quicksilver is, leaving his house and going to join the X-Men. Even though, this Quicksilver is a lot nicer than Quicksilver actually is in the comics. Like, this is not the comics Quicksilver at all. And I never really liked Quicksilver in the comics precisely because he wasn't that nice. This Quicksilver I love, and I love seeing him, joining the X-Men, so I thought that was really cool. They had a lot of focus on fight scenes, which I like because I think they've been really, especially with Olivia Munn, they've been really focusing on the choreography part of it, and she's trained in martial arts, so she knows what she's doing. And I really like that they placed focus on this, especially after Deadpool, because Deadpool had so many awesome scenes, had so many awesome fight scenes, really, and it's good to see what they can do when they actually set their minds to giving us good fights. Also very curious about Stryker. I knew that he was going to be in the movie because I've heard him speak, the actor. I've heard him speak about it. He hasn't said what he's doing in the movie, but I think it's interesting because last we saw of him, Mystique was posing as him. So it's funny in a way to see him out of the blue. But I'm really curious as to what he's doing and whether he's already been like doing the Weapon X program or whatever. That was in the 70s, so it would make sense that in the interim he sort of became even more powerful than he already is. I'm also really, and this is going to sound so tweeny, I'm sorry, but I'm really curious to see what Scott and Jean's relationship is like in this thing, because I've been hearing like Sophie Turner's talk about it, and I kind of have an idea in my head, but we haven't really actually seen it. And in this trailer they have that one little shot where he kind of looks at her and she looks at him when they're in the Blackbird, and I think this might actually be like around the time the turning point in the relationship comes, and I'm really curious to see that, and also to see how Scott relates with Havoc, because we didn't see a lot of Alex in this trailer. We only saw him like shooting the concussive beam in the Cerebrum, which was really, really freaking awesome. But I am worrying. Like, from the moment that Havoc appeared in X-Men First Class, I've been worrying about what the heck they're gonna do with Scott. Like, come on, they can't make them not brothers, right? So I hope they are. I hope they just mess the order around or something, but it's going to be interesting, and I hope we get to see them interact. Also, among the things I didn't like, there's one scene where Mystique is given the speech, which I get is like the rallying speech at the end of the movie when they're going into the big fight and whatever. And, you know, I quite like that there wasn't as much Mystique in this trailer. I'm not one of those people who are, like, really, really mad that Mystique has taken the protagonism because she's Jennifer Lawrence or whatever. I love Jennifer Lawrence. I think she's a great actress. I like her as Mystique. I do every once in a while go like, well, Mystique wasn't really that prominent in the books, in the comics, you know what I mean? And it really does irk me, especially when they put her like right in front of the poster, even in front of like Charles and Magneto and whatever. But I'm not one of those people who just kind of is really frustrated about it. It bugs me, but not that badly. So I like that there wasn't as much Mystique in this one. I know that she's going to be a heavy character in the movie. So, I mean, I'm kind of prepared for that, but she wasn't as much in the trailer, which I appreciated. What I didn't like, though, was that suit that she's in. What the heck, dude? That looks awful. Terrible. Awful. What? I hope it looks better in the movie. And I understand that they were doing it because, you know, just giving her full body paint for the entirety of the movie is not... It's not comfortable. It takes a lot of time. It costs a lot of money. I get it, but you could have given her a better suit. That was terrible. Oh, okay. I hope it looks better in the movie itself. There was one shot that bugged me as well, which is the shot where Cyclops is fighting Storm, which I think the fight is going to be great, and I love to see Cyclops using his power. He looks really awesome. But he shoots at her, and she sort of like sprints out of the way, and I'm like, you're Storm, why don't you just fly? What are you doing? I thought that was weird. I hope there's an explanation for it in the movie, because, yeah, I mean, she would just fly. She can't do that, right? We've seen her. And then there's that one shot that we've already seen before with Angel, like, shooting, his wing thingies at, I guess it's Jean, Scott, and was it Nightcrawler? I don't remember, but at 3 people, and then something lifts up like little pieces of stuff, of destruction, of rubble, kind of lift up into the air to block the shards that Angel is throwing at them. And I thought it was interesting because the little pieces of rubble actually looked like metal to me. So I'm not entirely clear if it's Jean doing that, which would be the sensible thing to do, or if somehow Magneto kind of has gone good, like has gone back to his senses and realized that he can't just go around killing children like this, and, turns to save them rather than help Angel. I think it could be a very interesting thing. Or it could just be Jean, because that's kind of her power, right? So, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it really did seem kind of weird for that. Okay, that's about it for me, because I have been speaking about like a 3-minute trailer for 15 minutes, but that's just how much I love the X-Men and how excited I really was for this trailer. Again, I didn't love it as much as I did the first one, but I loved them both very much. And I think this movie looks amazing. It looks epic. It looks what I wanted it to look, because you have a villain like Apocalypse, and this isn't just a Magneto. And Magneto has caused enough destruction through the X-Men movies, lifting bridges and lifting, football stadiums, and he's caused his fair share of destruction. But Apocalypse is on a whole other level, So I was hoping for this to look like a really huge scale, like a global event that Apocalypse would come in and not just want to destroy the X-Men, but want to destroy the world. That's what I wanted to see, and I think these two trailers, and especially this last one, have really managed to convey that idea of like global destruction and literally an apocalypse. You know what I mean? So I'm very satisfied with that. I love that they managed to do that. And I really like this trailer. I really enjoyed it. There were a lot of things that were good and a couple of issues that I had, but I'm hoping that it's just me, nitpicking out of stuff that is out of context, and it will make sense when the movie gets here, which it's really soon. It's, what is it, like almost 2 months away? Oh, time needs to move faster. I can't wait to see this movie. I love it so much. Anyway, yeah, that's about it. I will shut up now before I go on for an hour. As usual, be sure to visit our website at thegeekypub.com. We have reviews not just for other trailers, but also for TV shows, books, movies, games. We have a ton of stuff in there, so be sure to visit and check it out. And also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, as that is where our reviews usually go up first. Most of the time, even before they hit the website, they're on YouTube. So if you don't want to miss anything we upload, you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And that's about it from me now. And I will see you guys in my next review. Bye.